Okay, so once again, we're going to use Tinkercad to create an SVG file that's going to allow us to laser engrave and laser cut, uh, which this is going to be slightly different than the last activity you did, in that it will be doing both of those things, cutting and engraving in the wood. And once again, our workaround to be able to create our SVG file is using good old Tinkercad. So go ahead and open up a tab with Tinkercad. Go ahead, log in with your Gmail. From personal accounts, use your school Gmail. We kind of went through this in the last video, so you should be able to handle it. Create a brand new thing. All right, so I get myself a nice new design plane here, and I'm going to call it Mr. Pat. You would put your name, and I would say laser cut base plate. Okay, and you might be asking what's a base plate. For us to do this right using Tinkercad, we have to think in flat 2 dimensions instead of 3 dimensions like Tinkercad usually works. All right, so I have my Mr. Pat laser cut base plate project here. I'm going to grab the box and bring it over. I'm going to click until I see these boxes here. That one I'm going to make 2. This one I'm going to make 3. And now my box is a little tall, so I'm going to make sure I click right in there and right in there. 0.12. Come on, why is that not letting me do that? It's making me crazy, guys. 0.125. There we go. That time it worked. So sometimes this Tinkercad gives me the opportunity to write notes here that I really don't want to write, and it's just kind of annoying. But we'll work our way through that. So now I have a nice little rectangle that's flat, and again, 2 inches by 3 inches. And what we want to do is add on to that a ring that we could put a keychain through. And we did this before in our other project. We're going to bring this ring in. But remember, we talked about the wall thickness. It was a little skinny. In fact, I actually broke my first print of this laser cut base plate project because that was too thin. So if I go over here to where it says wall thickness and make that 0.2, gives me a much thicker wall thickness of the ring. And then I'll make the height as well, 0.125. So now it's exactly the same height as the rest of my piece here. And I'm just going to draw a box around both of these pieces and use my align tool up here. If I do that and I click on this center dot, it's going to put that right in line there. And I can move this guy in. And that, once again, I'll double check my alignment. And then now that it's perfect, and you can see it's nice and flat, I'm going to draw a box around both of these pieces, and I am going to group them. So now it's one solid piece of wood or plastic, whatever it is. Tinkercad thinks of it as one thing. All right. So that's my first file that I'm going to export. Over here it says export. Down here it says for laser cutting, which is what we want to do. It's a .svg file. And that will be in your downloads. That will be what you're going to export and send as an attachment in an email to your teacher. All right. But there's a part 2, because you might have noticed that there is no words on this or no designs on this. We're going to do that in another program. I'll show you how in just a minute. All right, so I just popped open a new tab here, and I'm going to type in adobe.com. All students should have an account with Adobe or be able to use it. And we're going to come down here to Adobe Express. It's kind of the easier junior version, if you will, which is just a little easier for us to use as middle schoolers, even as teachers, because, you know, it can be a little complicated. All right, and let's just make a new, we'll just go photo. Okay, and I don't care which one I pick. We can pick an album cover or whatever. It gives you kind of a template and a blank page to work with. What we want is some of these elements down here on the side. And there's some shapes. We really don't want to get too much into the colored things, but if you go to shapes, there's all sorts of things here. You can go a little bit crazy looking at stars and things like that. You can search shapes. I'm going to search bear because I'm going to do a thing for the GMS Grizzlies. And these are all kind of teddy bear looking, but I like that. That claw is kind of fierce. Let's see if there's any other fierce bear. No one's not bad. I think I'm going to go back to the claw. All right, so we'll come back to here, the grizzly paw, and it pops right in there. Obviously, that's a little big. I'll probably make that a little bit smaller and move it over. And then over here, there's another thing that says text. Add your text. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to type GMS. Oh, I guess I got to get rid of the add your new text here. GMS Grizzlies, Grizzlies. Okay, and I can make it so that that is all center justified so that it's nice and neat, and move that kind of in line with my grizzly paw. And here's what's kind of nice is over here, I believe this is where the text is. Nope. Is it regular? Interesting. I thought I had a place where I could change the font in my text, which is, yeah. Oh, here we go. So I can kind of fancy it up a little bit. And yeah, you can basically mess around. It's got some different styles here I could go with. Kind of gives you some suggestions. And I can keep on going, show more. I like that one. So there it is. All right. And now that I have these shapes, you can add one graphic and you need some words. Now, it doesn't have to be GMS Grizzlies. It could be the name of your basketball team, or it could be Boston Celtics, or it could be your favorite band or your family's name. You could make it for your pet, any kind of thing like that, a little name tag for your pet. But anyway, as soon as you have some text and you have a graphic here of some kind, and again, if you explore around, you can actually go down quite a rabbit hole and lose your time because there's so many design elements here in Adobe. We're going to try and keep it pretty simple, and we're going to, over here where it says download, way up at the top, if I hover over here, come on, download, there it is. And I'm going to download it as a PNG. Now, by the way, so I know what this file is, and your teacher knows what this is, over here where it says untitled, I'm going to backspace away. One thing I need you to do is put the name, your name, first and last, and I would say laser engraving text. And that's a good title for that, and there that says. And now I'm going to download it as a PNG, and that's another file you're going to be able to send to your teacher by email. So we're getting real close here, guys.